What's going on, everybody? My name is Austin Prevo, your host of the PV National Podcast. Back here at another episode with another amazing roofing company owner, John Almager. Thank you so much for being here. He is the owner and co-founder of Exclusive Roofing, Exclusive Energy, and X Corp Holdings. Man, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. Super excited to get into this, right? So I think a big part of this podcast here. And I like what you kind of put on the form. I really want to discuss a ton, not necessarily a ton, but a lot about leadership development, scaling, and mindset today. So I know those are things that you kind of put on the form, and I'm right there with you. But I kind of do this with every guest that comes on. I really want to just get into this industry in the insurance restoration and roofing world is, and especially in Texas, is just it's such a racket, right?
Right.
And I always like to learn a little bit about how people got into this industry. So tell us a little bit about, just really quickly, like where you grew up, where you went to school, if you went to school, and then kind of how you got into this insurance restoration roofing game.
Yeah. Are you talking about from the beginning, like high school, or talking?
You could go like where are you born? Like where are you from?
So I'm from Midland, West Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, originally. Went to school out there. And then after that, I went to junior college for a little bit, went to Texas Tech for a little while. Didn't graduate.
Me neither, bro. It's all good. Hell yeah. Hey, college dropouts, let's go.
It's all good. But, I actually moved out, to Dallas in 2016.
Okay.
And so when I actually originally got out here, my biggest goal was getting into the fitness industry. So I wanted to be a personal trainer.
Sure.
And so I actually did that for about 3 years. And the company that I worked for at that time, I was transitioning because I needed to make more money.
Yep.
Working for a big, company as far as like fitness, like you don't make a lot of money personal training in those gyms.
No, you don't.
And so I was like, man, I need to make some more money. So I was actually going to make a shift. And that's how I ended up getting into sales. And I remember specifically getting into it early on. I was like, dude, there's no way I'm going to be good at this. Like, I can't ask people for like money. I'm like, especially if they're telling me they're broke or something like that. That's like the hardest thing, So I got into that. And so I was a personal training manager for about 3.5 years.
Okay.
And then, and if you've ever been in the personal training world or any kind of fitness world, I mean, it's a lot of work. I mean, every single day you're at a gym, you're in a box for, up to 12 hours, if not more. Monday through Saturday, like there's no holidays, there's no days off. So, for like 3 years, missed like a whole bunch of like Christmases and like Thanksgiving. And it got pretty stressful.
Sure.
And so that's actually where I met Jazz, where I met my wife. And I remember towards the end of being in the fitness industry, we had seen my last company that I used to work for, those guys actually used to work in the fitness industry as well. And then they got into roofing and they were killing it. And so I was just like, man, what's this correlation with like fitness and like roofing like it doesn't make any sense. And so I remember, towards the end of that, I ended up, asking Jazz, cause she knew the owners of the company at that time and, to give me an interview, and I got set up. And when I came into it, they were telling me, the kind of money you can make in the roofing industry. Oh, yeah. And it was almost like in disbelief. I was like, dude, how have not heard about this before, And so got into it and, just kind of jumped in. I quit my job and I jumped right into the, 1099, 100%, and it was tough, to start out. But I did that for about 6 years, with them. And then 2 years ago, Jazz and we started our own roofing company.
Amazing, man. Yeah. So the jump, was it something to where like, cause I talk a lot about on here, like, even though I'm a solar detach and reset contractor, we are very heavily integrated into the insurance restoration roofing business. So it's like, I always ask this question is that, okay, so whenever you've got kind of more of like a consistent, stable job, right? Mm-hmm. What were the kind of key elements besides the money, right? Because we talk about in the roofing industry, and I think that you would agree because you put on some form here like leadership development, right? Is that something that you really saw over there? And like that's a big reason as to why you decided to jump is because of the mentorship and things that you might be able to gain outside of just the money, right?
Yeah, you're talking about like coming from the fitness industry into roofing?
Well, just whether fitness, it doesn't matter, but like jumping from something consistent to a 1099, right? Because everyone, like you and I both know how many people in the insurance restoration roofing business in Texas, they slap the total dollar amount that you can make in front of you and try to recruit you that way, right? Was that the only thing that incentivized you, or were there other things that you noticed about the company that would say, okay, hey, this is maybe it's a risky, but it's a calculated risk bet to jump?
Yeah, I think for me it was more of like I knew that wherever I go, especially in sales, and I was pretty confident in myself and my sales ability, that wherever I went, I was going to be successful.
Sure.
What drew me to the company was that it looked like they had a great culture.
Yeah.
Like from the outside looking in, like just photos looks like guys were just having a good time, like just, being out in the streets, on roofs. And that's what drew me. I was missing that at the company that I was at.
Sure.
Like I learned really like how to sell really well in the fitness industry. But what happened was that it was a very toxic culture.
Sure.
And so, yes, I was dealing with a lot of toxicity, and the leadership obviously wasn't that great there at that time. And so, when I got into the actual roofing, like, the company that I went with, it was a great culture, and we had great mentors. And so, we grew a lot over the course of that 6 years. So, definitely.
So that was, because that's a big thing that I tell everybody. If there's someone that's watching this podcast that is thinking about getting into the roofing industry, do not let the money be the only thing that sways you to go with the company, because you can make money at any roofing company. Okay. So if you're looking to get into an organization, you've got to really, really vet the culture, spend some times. One of the things that I brought a roofing company on last week, one of our partners, and something that they said that they do for their like new recruits is they make them go on ride-alongs to go knock doors before they hire anybody. To show them like, hey, this is what door knocking is. This is what the culture looks like. So I thought that was a really good thing. Like, don't be afraid to do that kind of stuff, and always make sure that if you're going to get into a roofing company, it's a 1099 full commission, and you've got to make sure that you're going to have the right back end support, leadership development, or you will be dormant unless you have some structure.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing. Is structure is huge, and obviously training and development is huge, especially early on with guys, because you're not seeing instant cash flow. And I tell every guy that I interview, I tell them that this is an extremely hard job, not in the sense of like hard as in like labor hard,
right?
Mentally, it's hard. And so getting past your first 90 days in this industry is like the hardest thing to do. And if you can make it past that first 90 days and you're consistent, like you'll win.
100%. I tell people that all the time. I'm like, it has got to be a full commit from day 100%. One. It has got to be a full commit. And a lot of these roofing companies, you can work part-time and, you can make your own schedule and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Don't buy into that. Like think about it. Like if the opportunity is $250,000 a year, if that's what's in front of you, there's no such thing. I don't care what industry you're in. There's no such thing as part-time work making $250,000 a year. Doesn't exist, right?
100%.
So I always like to kind of just start that way. So that's cool how you got into it, man. Like a lot of people, especially where you're talking about, a lot of them were in fitness, right? They're just bodybuilders walking the street, knocking doors.
It seems to be the norm, man. You see most roofing company guys out there, and from all companies, and a lot of guys that are jacked or been in the gym at some
100%.
point.
But I think there is like a relative correlation, because it's like people who have the ability to be disciplined about their fitness, because just like anything else, like in fitness, no one's forcing you to be at the gym.
Right.
No one's forcing you to say, I've got to be in insane shape. That's just a self-driving thing.
Correct.
And in the roofing business, that is literally what it takes. Like it takes to be, you have to be disciplined, you have to be self-driven.
Correct.
So I think the correlation makes sense in my opinion.
100%.
Right?
Yeah. That discipline is everything.
100%. So let's get into it here, John. Tell me a little bit about Exclusive Roofing. What areas you guys service, kind of the size of your company, and a little bit about kind of your direct strategy on how you guys are looking to grow in 2026 without getting, too far into the details.
Yeah. No worries. So, Exclusive Roofing, we started obviously, 2 years ago. Jazz and I, when we left our last company, they had just gone through like a private equity, transaction. And so, it was just things shift, and it's okay. It's part of the business, and we get it. And it's just, it was our time to just, go. And we decided to start Exclusive, and we felt like we wanted to really just pour into our people and develop people.
100%.
It's something me and Jazz like pride ourselves on. Like we truly enjoy like developing people, leaders, sales guys, pouring into them. It's a big part of what we do.
Absolutely.
And so with Exclusive, we never had any intention when we started Exclusive to kind of like say, hey, we're just going to have, 15, 20 guys, and that's just kind of where we're going to keep it. The full intention was to obviously scale and grow the company. And so we have our license in Colorado right now, and we also have our roofing and GC license in Florida. And so our goal is to kind of start to really grow into those markets this year. We've kind of dabbled a little bit with Colorado last year. We didn't have any, the success that we wanted. And so, we're going to really start to, as the storm seasons happen this year with Colorado and with Florida, we're going to start kind of using that as the foundation to grow into those markets. But a big one is obviously growing in Texas too. Right. And so right now we're at about 35 total sales, guys and girls.
Okay.
And so that we have about 6 team leads in training right now with the company. And so the goal is to try to get 4 more promoted by the end of this year.
Amazing.
And so if we have those 4 obviously promoted, we can start putting people under them and then hopefully being close to 50 to 60 guys by next February, March of next year.
That's amazing. Yeah. So you guys are in Texas, Colorado, Florida, correct, mainly the Texas market right now, looking to use some of the storms this year to kind of get your foothold in the other markets.
Correct.
You guys got about 35 people now, looking to get to 50 by the end of the year. And how you do that, right, is how you do that really from what I see here is it's a development standpoint.
Correct.
Right? Like, would you attribute most growth, whether it's sales, operations, because like if you break down a business into any really like 3 key functions, right? You've got sales, you got operations, you got finance, right?
Correct.
So do you guys focus on leadership development in all areas of your business, or is it mainly geared towards sales? Is it mainly geared towards sales? Because I know this is a very sales-driven business, right, but there's got to be, it's not, in this business, it's not what you make, it's what you keep, is what makes you successful. Correct. To be able to reinvest actually back into your business. So tell me a little bit about like your strategy to grow and develop people, and then get me a little bit of information into hiring Santiago.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with kind of like the growth. Yeah, sure. we are very like, big on the development of our leaders.
Sure.
And so the thing is that there's a lot of companies, that, and this happens in any sales, it's not just roofing, but a lot of times when you get somebody that might be a high producer, somebody that can sell, at a high level, they take that person and say, hey, well, you're really good, let's put you in a management role or in a leadership role, right? But the problem is that just because somebody's really good at sales or they can do something at a very high level doesn't mean they're good as a manager or leader.
Yep.
And it's not that they're not good at it. They might not have the skill set. Yeah, they don't have the skill set. It's not developed yet.
Yep.
And we've seen those gaps over the years as we've been in the industry where, guys who were great salespeople, they went up and then they failed, right? They kind of fell on their face. Wasn't their fault. They just weren't developed. So what we started to do is we started implementing a future team lead and training program. Okay. And so every year we run this program. So every year at the beginning of January, we kind of, towards the end of every year, we'll know who's going to be the next up, right?
Yeah.
And so we do a 6-month program with each one of those guys. And so like right now, like I said, we had 6, right, for right now. So we'll take them through a 6-month program, and every month it's different. So just for example, like, month 1, we read 6 books over the course of 6 months.
Wow. Okay.
So the first month, I'll just briefly go with like just the first month. It's like extreme ownership is like the
Jocko
first thing.
Willink, baby.
Yeah, that's the first book because
it
kind of sets the precedent for everything, especially in leadership.
100%.
In like the second month, we have like sales mastery, right? So we go into actual sales, but
like sales tactics, it's like more like sales skills versus like, because extreme ownership, for you guys who have not read that book, basically the premise of it is that as a leader, everything's your fault.
Correct. 100%.
Right? Like that's the premise of the whole book, is that like if you're not, as a leader, if your team is not performing, there is only one person to look in the mirror. And it doesn't matter if you have bad performers. Look, guys, in any business, dude, hire slow, fire fast.
Yes.
If you have someone that's not performing on your team and you've done the development that you know that you can do and they're not catching on, let them go.
Correct.
Don't hold on to somebody that is dragging you down. And eventually, what you do as from an extreme ownership standpoint is you take that person out, you develop the right people in that, and then you find a way to hire the right person to fill that gap.
That's
right?
correct. 100%.
Yeah.
And I think it's and another reason I love the book is it's giving like leaders to kind of look and say, hey man, like I've done some of these things, right? I've done like the blaming where like it wasn't my fault, right?
100%.
It was that person's fault. And
I've
like,
done that.
and like, yeah, really, yeah, me too. I have 100%.
100%. Yeah.
But it's kind of, it sets the premise for the entire program. But again, it's going back just to the development. We want to make sure that the leaders that we are bringing up, with exclusive that are coming on board to become an actual team lead, that they're well-rounded and they are true, like developed as leaders.
Right.
They've already got the sales skill, but now we're developing them as true leaders so that when they do get into that actual position, they don't fall on their face.
Yeah.
And everybody that goes through the program, they don't get promoted immediately. Like we might get 1 or 2 that are promoted right at the end of the program, and then the other 2.
That first 6 months, and then do they go through like continued? Or is it more?
Yeah, it's continuous every single month. Like we continue training. Like we meet with our team leads. Right now we meet with them at least twice a month, and we review like KPIs and stuff like that. And we
like performance reviews and everything.
Yes, 100%. So it's just always keeping your finger on the pulse of the business. Is what we see. Like the moment you like kind of like say, hey, I meet with my. I've had some companies where like, yeah, I meet with my team leads like once a quarter. And I'm like, what? I'm like, dude, what? Like, there's no way, right? It's like things can just kind of get spiral out of control in such a short amount of time. So
100%.
that's the development side of it, right? And so with the guys, but we brought in, you were talking about Santiago. Santiago is a great friend of mine. I've known him, we went to high school together.
Sure.
We had lost touch for like 10 years. He is from Colombia originally. And so, he was going to school for a little bit right out of high school. He was going to college, and then he moved back to Colombia. And then we lost touch
completely.
He completely went off social media.
Yeah, my boy went off grid.
He really did, and I was like, I thought he was dead. I was like, dude, he got he lives in Colombia, for sure.
Something happened to him. Yeah.
So I ended up finding him on LinkedIn 10 years. This was just a few years ago.
Yeah.
And me and Jazz just happened to be going to Colombia, and so we met up with him, and he was working for an IT company at that time, and he was doing kind of the financials and some different stuff. He can probably tell more detail about than I can, but. I was telling him, just from conversation, I was telling him about exclusive, and and we were just kind of out. It was funny. We were kind of at a bar, and we had a few drinks, and so
had a couple,
and so we were just kind of like, hey man, I think you would be really great for our company. You can bring value for what you do to our company, right? To help us grow and scale, right? And so this was October time.
Of 2024.
24.
Got it.
And then I remember a few months later, we really didn't talk much after that. And a few months later, he calls me. He's like, hey man, just want to let you know, I told my boss I'm quitting. At the end, this is 4 weeks before the end of the year. And I'm like, oh crap. All right, let's go. So, he started with us the beginning of, really of 2025. And he was kind of doing some stuff, but
I remember because he was, when I did that initial, I came in, when you guys had that kickoff meeting, I was at that kickoff meeting, and you were kind of just getting started, introduced to the company at that kickoff meeting in 2025.
Correct.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's brought a lot of value, man. I mean, Santi's a super smart guy. He's very intellectual, and he kind of is he looks at everything from from afar, and he kind of really calculates everything as we're going.
Sure.
I'm one of those guys that just to go. I like to just go.
Yep.
If there's something, let's just go get it.
Yep.
And then Jazz is really good, obviously, about doing something similar, but she analyzes everything, and she's very smart about how she moves. And then Santi's complete, I just let me just analyze everything. So we kind of balance each other out really well.
Amazing. So I think you and I have spoken about this. At our company, we operate off of EOS. So there's there's very specific roles and responsibilities. In our company, it's myself is the visionary.
Correct.
I'm the one who's the face of the brand. I have all the relationships with our roofing contractors. I make sure that business stays flowing in, and that our reputation, our brand is represented well.
Correct.
And we continue not only to get clients, but to maintain sticky clients, right? Nick is full blown, all of our numbers, all of our finances. He works with our CFO, our bookkeeper, CPA, make sure that when we're making money, we're keeping money.
Correct.
And then Preston is the integrator of the business, basically taking the big ideas and visions that we've got for our business and then breaking it down into the systems and processes that need to be implemented to get there.
Right.
So I guess I would guess that you're a little bit more visionary style. Do you maintain most of the supplier relationships and kind of the bigger relationships inside of the business?
It's funny because as far as kind of we would say our roles, right?
Yeah.
Me and Jazz kind of dabble in both.
Sure.
She's really good with the relationships with the suppliers and everything, and I am too.
Sure.
So we kind of split that a little bit.
Sure.
But as far as just how we operate, I'm very more of the sales front, doing the sales trainings and the development of as far as the guys, and Jazz comes in and she creates the systems.
Amazing.
That's what she's good at. She is amazing when it comes to just creating the systems for the team leads. So she came up with the 6-month program.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
we have the idea of the 6-month program, but someone's got to fucking do it.
That's how it is. It's hey, we need to come up with a program and to facilitate to develop these guys.
Yep.
And she's the one that came up with this program.
And you're the best person to sit in front of the room and make sure that the program is explained and implemented the correct way.
Right. And so that's but that goes back to where we bounce off each other so well,
right?
Because we run the program together.
Got it.
And so we'll go in and we'll do all these things. And what Jazz is really good at, again, she's good at developing the systems and the programs. but she's also good on the back end with like the CRM and stuff.
Got
And
it.
so she's really good with like all the stuff how we have like everything in AccuLinks.
Yeah.
Like she like designed
Like how it's
everything in
all
there.
organized in
Yeah,
there.
and I'm really good on the forefront of like the sales aspect of everything. Of like I do all the new hire trainings. You know, I
Yep.
bring all the guys in and I make sure that we're doing weekly trainings on sales and like I run all of those things. And then
Amazing.
Jazz kind of has that other niche to her because
Yeah.
she's really good at sales too. Obviously,
Let's not play.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
She's
let's not
amazing.
play.
She's amazing at what she does.
I had a couple friends
she's a
that
killer.
were. I had a couple friends that were under her at the previous company that you
Right.
guys were at,
Yeah,
and she was just an absolute killer.
Dude, she's amazing, man. She really is. I think
Shout out Jazz.
Yeah, shout out to Jazz. She's she kills it in the sales world, but she's so well rounded. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Is like sometimes like I'll say about myself like there's some things that I'm not as good at, right,
Yep.
and that's okay. But she like picks up that slack and like she
100%,
kills
dude.
it in that. So yeah,
That's what it's
she's
all
awesome.
about. Like, and you know, the ego has to be at the door, right? So
Yep.
it's like that's what I've realized over the last few years is that like there's a reason as to why we were Prevo installations from 2020 to May of 2020 to September of 2022 when we rebranded and brought Nick on to PV National.
Right.
And it was like one of those situations where like, okay, we were hitting a ceiling and we knew that we had to get somebody in here that if we really wanted to take this thing to the next level, we had to get someone in here that knew what we didn't know.
Right.
And when you have no ego and you're truly ham and egging in a business, that's when shit just starts to fire off.
Oh,
like,
100%.
And what would you say, I guess, how do you guys allow or don't allow ego to get played in the business when it comes to like the relationship between you, your wife, and Santi, who's basically, would you guys say that you three are like running the company?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much.
So when it comes to like the
100%.
three people that are like running the company, essentially, how do you guys navigate those relationships? Because I think that's something that people can really learn from.
Right.
Is because when people bring other partners in, right?
Right.
There's, and especially in the roofing business, the
Right.
amount of ego, the amount of distrust, the amount of like all that stuff that happens inside this business. Can
Yep.
you kind of tell people how you guys navigate that, and if you guys have like had like true, transparent, honest conversations and stuff like that? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is communication.
Yep.
We all communicate very well with each other, and when things pop up or there's frustrations or something like goes wrong, we're really good about like nipping it in the bud immediately and communicating, picking up the phone and talking.
Sure.
I think a lot of times when you want to be the best person in the room and you don't want you have that ego we talk about, right?
Yeah.
It's a cancer.
100%.
It'll kill it, and it creates animosity within the group,
Especially from the top.
Oh, 100%. And if it's at the top, it's obviously going to trickle down, right?
100%.
I think I've always been big on like, and I've seen these things too, where you have some companies too that they like the owners are trying to be the best guy, right? And they want to be the face of everything, and I think that unfortunately that what happens is that when you want to be the best, you have a hard time like facilitating or like being able to trust somebody else to do like the work that you do. Right.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we
And
call
so-
that like the in our business, like in all the way that we frame that, it's called letting go of the vine.
Yeah.
Right. So it's
100%.
basically like, okay, if you have a role responsibility, but it's keeping you from like growing the business, but you're not quite ready to trust somebody to do it,
Yeah.
you've got to let go of the vine.
100%.
But also, if you're going to let go of the vine, you've got to put in the right systems, processes, and training to let go of the vine.
That's correct.
With a trustworthy person.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, if delegation is key, and
100%.
but you have to understand that even with like, yeah, we have the systems too, but you have to be able to know and understand that person's going to make mistakes.
Yep.
People are going to make mistakes, and that's okay.
Yep.
But that's how they learn.
100%.
And a lot of people don't want that to happen. Oh, I don't want them to do it because they're going to make a mistake and I can do it better.
Yep.
Well, you never grow and you never scale. And there's a reason why maybe your company stayed the same way for the past 10 years is because you have that ego and you just won't drop the ego. And like you said, right, kind of just give them that vine, right? Just let them,
Like, hey, here, let go of the vine, right? So it's like that's something that that we've had to at PV National, we've really had to learn over the last I would say like 18 to 20 months is that letting go of the vine concept.
Right.
Like for the past, I would say up until about 18 months ago, like 4.5 years, like, dude, I had every point of contact with every contractor. I scheduled this stuff out. I sent the invoices. I sent the estimates. I had like full, I was doing it all, right? And then Preston had full control over all of the installs, like what processes we used, how we did it, like how organized the tools in the warehouse, all that kind of stuff looks. And, because this industry is so relationship based, right? Now, obviously we have to execute on our product, but in this industry, that's expected.
Yeah.
So that's where if we're not able to execute on the product, then the relationships don't really matter.
Right.
And that was one thing I had to learn, right? We brought in a production manager, we brought in an office admin, we brought in these people who like would let me just truly develop the relationships long term. And I
Right.
wasn't in the nitty gritty. I would like if a contractor calls and asks the question, and if they don't answer it quite right or they don't use the right tone inflection, like it would like freak me out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I had to learn, like, okay, and if anything major happened, I had a good enough relationship to go fix it.
Right.
But I had to let them learn. I had to let them go through those things.
So Nick,
I had to let them go through that.
Yeah.
So that now we're able to do what I'm doing now. Like I'm able to really sit in my unique ability from like what I can provide the most value to the business,
which is growing and focusing on scaling and growing the business.
Correct.
Right.
You know, making those higher level decisions, really collaborating with my business partners, making sure that the ship is like in the right direction.
Right.
Versus being stuck in the weeds of the business all day. And it's all comes down to trust, systems, processes, culture, and accountability.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So that's the next thing I want to kind of get into, right? Is like the culture stuff, right? So in the roofing business, I love what you put here. How do you retain and hire A players? Your response was we hire all players, A, B, C, and then I don't know what did you word. It says we hire the charter of the person, not
the character. I'm sorry.
I was like, how do we charter?
It must have the auto thing. Yeah.
So you hire the character and then you develop the skill, right? Is
Correct.
that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah. You know, you're not going to always have A players, and I think a lot of people try to focus on you want A players. And we're talking about ego too, right?
Sure.
And so sometimes those A players come with an ego.
Yep.
We don't. I'm a firm believer. I never hire the ego. I hire the attitude.
Sure.
Right. I can train and develop somebody, right? But if somebody comes in with the ego, like we spoke earlier, that comes with,
bad habits. It comes with all kinds of stuff.
You can't develop, right? They don't want
Yep.
to learn, right? And so it just becomes, you get a high flyer that can say, I can sell this much per year. Well, I think the other thing that helps is being in the industry for such a long time. Being in the industry for such a long time, you see these things, the different characters that come in and out,
Sure.
and those tendencies, and so you just know it might be a detriment. But yeah, we're always big on the character of the person. Like if you have good character, you're not always going to be an A player, but we bring in A, B, and C players.
Yeah.
You're not always going to just have
right off the bat, you're just going to have an absolute monster who's humble, who's follows the core mission, and the core value, everything like that.
You're going to have guys that want to make that 250, 300,000 a year.
Yeah.
And you might have a guy that, that comes on and they've made 30,000 a year at the previous job and they came in and made, 120.
It's like a major win for them.
That's even though for some people like, me, like when we used to go sell, $2 million producers, right? And for us, it was like, dude, I'm trying to make 400,000, right?
Yeah.
But it's sometimes those leaders will turn around like, man, what are you doing? Like 120, that's nothing. Well, for that guy, it is.
Yeah.
And
it's
so
all perspective.
So you have to understand those things. And I think as a good leader, we understand, hey man, you killed it this year. You made 120. You almost made 100,000 more than you made last year. Like great job.
Yeah.
And then we can readjust goals for next year if you want to make more, right? But that's okay too if they want to continue to make 120 to 150.
Yep.
As long as they're happy and they're killing it in their space.
That's a great point because in the roofing industry, it's like, I mean, I the concept of 4 quarters over 100 pennies, I understand that concept, but dude, if someone's making 120 grand, that means the company's making money too.
Right.
Like, let's call it what it is.
Yeah,
like it's
right.
it's revenue that you didn't have. It's money that you didn't have.
Correct.
If you decided to let somebody go, that wasn't exactly the $2 million guy. It's like, well, why would that
it's
doesn't make a
15.
whole lot of
It
sense
could be
to me.
anywhere from 15 to 20 jobs more a year that you're just saying, hey, I don't want him because he doesn't produce $1 million. It's like, dude, that's an additional 15 to 20 jobs per year that you wouldn't have.
That you don't have.
Yeah.
Right? And if he's a good culture fit and he's not a cancer culturally,
correct.
In the 1099 space, there's zero reason to let that person go.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Okay, so I love this question that I've got. What cultural principle is a non-negotiable for exclusive roofing?
Let me see here. What did I put down here for that?
You put team mission over self, and then
Right.
vision over circumstances.
Yeah. So team mission over self, man, is we always believe like everybody's got stuff going on in their life, right?
Sure.
I think everybody's got, whether it's personal issues or something like that. Obviously, a mentor from our last company always said there's never, business problems, it's personal problems that roll into the business, right? And so
Regardless, shout out Kurt.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah, Kurt. No, Kurt's awesome, man. But but again, we are true about you show up every day no matter what.
Yep.
Right. I mean, especially if you have a family, you have kids, like there's people that depend on you, right? And so you want to show up every day regardless of the circumstance or what's going on. What do we
read that?
The win one?
Yeah.
Execute the fundamentals exceptionally well with discipline and consistency. Show up every day, especially when you don't feel like it. While effort is appreciated, you're judged by your results. That's 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a total alignment there.
Yeah.
with what you guys are doing.
100%. And so, But that's what we believe. Vision over circumstance is huge. Like it's something me and Jazz we talked about at our kickoff meeting as well.
I saw that on the gym, dude. That was sick.
Yeah. And that's huge. I mean, I think long-term perspective, and we're always thinking about where we're going, which we instill in our guys and that's growth, right? It's like them understanding where we're going and them understanding like the long-term vision and where we're going. It keeps those guys motivated.
100%.
Like you're not just coming onto a roofing company with us and just going to make some money. And we talked about like, let's just come make some money, $250 a year, and that's it. And that's your ceiling. There's a lot of growth that's coming over the next 5 to 10 years with our company. Yeah. And so we instill that in our guys and we constantly are talking about it. Yep. And so it keeps the guys engaged. It keeps them wanting to go out and motivate every single day, discipline and continuing to work.
That's we talk about it all the time here as well. It's like, okay, whenever we have we do every quarter, we have like a full company meeting going over like all of our metrics, results, all the things that we accomplished, right. Readdress core values and stuff like that. And one of the things I think is like super important, I think you guys do this really well, is that whenever people are, especially in a 1099 position, like they're not a W-2 employee of yours, right. They don't have to be there, correct. Right? So that's why culture in y'all's business, I mean, really in any business, but like especially in y'all's business is like, it's paramount, because guys and girls that are out selling and knocking doors and doing things on their own will, their own consistency, everything of that nature, they have to understand how their role or what they do, how it is tied to the long-term vision.
Correct.
You can't just preach a vision to people that only benefits the people at the top, right?
That's right.
Every single person inside the organization, and that's why we have like one-on-ones, and we have like scorecard metrics and 90-day goals for every person inside the organization, because we talk about like our 5-year vision, and then we have to break it down. Okay, what do we have to do this week to get there?
Correct.
We break it down from like 5 years to 1 year to 90 days to weekly. That's how we we reverse engineer our goals.
Yeah. Working the numbers backwards.
So we reverse engineer everything, but every single person who plays an integral role here has a number, has a metric, has a thing that they are fully responsible for. No one else is responsible for it. Obviously, managers and leaders, they have to they hold them accountable,
right?
But they're responsible for that. So even if it's like, what do I have to get done this week? It ties into that 3 to 5 year goal,
right?
Right. And so I think it's the same thing you guys are doing a little bit differently, but the people in your organization, that's why you've been able to retain guys like Alan and Tom and some of these great people that you guys have got.
Right.
Shout out to Tom. That's my dog.
Yeah.
Thank you
Tom,
for always repping us on PV National, baby. I love you. But those guys, I really do truly believe they really understand their key role in part in playing in the bigger mission. And that is what keeps that motivation.
Trickles down.
It trickles down. And it trickles down into their team too.
Correct. If your leaders don't believe in, and we talk about it, right? So, sorry, just lost my train of thought with the book.
Extreme Ownership?
Yeah, so you talk about the team understanding the mission, right?
100%.
And so if the leaders don't truly understand the mission, it's not clear, then they're not going to ever trickle that down to the team.
It's never going to happen.
And so if they don't believe in it, the team's not going to believe in it.
Correct.
And so that goes back to the leadership development and just showing that vision with those guys and sharing that with them. And then that trickles down. But I think engagement, you were just talking on that. You were talking about, you're constantly, you're talking to the guys, you're talking about weekly, what you guys are doing in the 90 days. Like it's constant engagement with your guys.
Correct.
I'm a firm believer on it's, you should have a personal relationship with your team.
100%.
And what I mean by that, I'm not saying go out and party with your team. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm saying that with my guys, I'm always like, hey, it's great to get them out in the field. It's great to go out and do all these things, but you need to take them to like lunch, at least, maybe once a week, one of the guys, take them out weekly, go have a dinner with them and the spouse or something like that. Like it's good to have those personal relationships because that's so important, especially having that personal relationship, especially when it comes to the work life.
1,000%.
Because when you're talking about working every day and getting the guys up and getting them motivated and getting out, that becomes a lot easier when you have that personal relationship and it's not just about work.
1,000%. And so that's and I love that because that's something that we've the last like 6 months or so, regardless, because we don't have it's our business is very different than yours. Like we don't have a sales staff, right? So it's not like we have we're just like, okay, we gotta, it's like, recruit, train, motivate. Like that's not the same thing as it's very different. But everyone Preston the integrator, he has a very unique way of going about how, even though it's not a sales position and there aren't positions here where people are making $250,000, that just doesn't exist in our line of work. Right. But there is an element to where every single person that works here how does PV National play a factor into what your goals are personally?
Yeah.
So like we try to make it as what can PV National do as a company, as a culture to facilitate your growth?
Yeah.
Right. And like how to, and look, at the end of the day, some people like they're just not going to be 10, 15 year guys with the company. Just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. And you can't expect that, especially in our like line of work. You can't expect everyone to be here for 10 or 15 years. That's what we want, right?
Yeah.
But you can't expect it.
Oh, yeah.
So even if it's a stepping stone deal, like how can PV National be the best stepping stone to where the next phase of your life, you grew, you learned, and PV National is able to facilitate that. So that's another way that we tie in. Like we do one-on-ones weekly with our people.
Right.
It's like, hey, what's going on? How are things going? All that kind of stuff. So I think that's a super, super important part to it. Having that personal touch into what the business can do to facilitate your growth and where you want to be in life, right? And this may not be the final destination for you, and that's okay.
Yeah, I think, something that you guys have done and the reason why we've known each other for a long time.
We've known each other, I think, probably since like right when we started. I think you guys were one of the first jobs that we did as Prevo Installations, the summer of 2020.
Yeah.
So it's been almost 6 years we've known each other. Yeah.
And obviously, seeing y'all's growth, which you guys have done a phenomenal job, bro. Like you guys have killed it. Like I've loved seeing it from afar. Like the one thing that I've always seen about you guys is your willingness to just hustle and get out and get it. Like, and you're always constantly looking for the next, who can I go out and get next? Who can I go out and get to add to the business? So it's always awesome to see. But the big thing that kind of drew me, whenever we had our first initial meeting about coming on with you guys is that you guys have made everything very systematic. You streamline everything. Yeah. And, for us who come from, our business where we like to have everything systematic and streamlined from A to Z, you guys make that a whole easier, but it's not just your systems, but it's also the credentials, right? You guys have the licensing, you guys do everything correctly. And when you guys are firing off supplements, you just make it a lot easier for, roofing contractors, to come in and you make it turnkey.
Yep.
Where it's
we try to,
but you guys have great customer service as well.
Yeah.
So it's all of the things that if I'm a contractor and we pride ourselves on customer service and Google reviews and making sure that, we don't have any, upset homeowners.
Sure.
Implementing and bringing you guys in, especially for our detach and reset for the solar, you guys just are, in my opinion, are the best at what you do.
I appreciate that, man.
So it's been great.
It's and I tell, we've had a lot of conversations about this, and the reality is that the best alignment for us as a company, right, is people. I literally I just DM'd a guy on Facebook yesterday. The whole thing. It's hey, I see your page, I see you up on roofs. You're priding yourselves on giving people peace of mind. There's not enough damage on this roof. Mm-hmm. And you're genuinely excited to go talk to a customer and say, hey, this can weather a couple more storms before we have to get this thing replaced.
Right.
So it's I know that you're customer forward. Right. And that is exactly what we are. Yeah. And so it's I tell contractors that all the time. I'm that's who we align with. If you're actually customer forward, just take the 5 minutes to talk to me. Yeah. And if we're not a good fit, we're not a good fit. Yeah. It's okay. I'm not going to trip. But I really appreciate you saying that, because that is in 2024, everything was a per panel price model, right? All the way up until we started doing the way that we're doing it now. Right. It's all just been a per panel price. Right. And so there is and when that happens, especially from a subcontractor perspective, you become a commodity. Yeah. You become, your organization becomes your price. Uh-huh. And once that happens, it is a race to the bottom, and it is just a ticking time bomb from when you're going to have to shut your doors. Yeah, right? 100%. For someone who wants to be sophisticated, who wants to make money, who wants to grow, wants to scale, you cannot do it in a per panel price model. You're going to hit a ceiling. You're not going to be able to grow. That's just how it goes. And if you are going to grow, it won't be significant, and it will probably be really messy. Yeah. If you don't have the right capital.
Especially in that, and what you guys do.
Especially in what we do with all the licensing requirements, in-house crews, the whole ball of wax. Yeah. And so that's what we had to make a shift to okay, besides just doing a really good job on the construction, we have to actually think of a product that we can actually sell. Yeah. That I could get somebody to say and sign a contract with me and sell something. Yeah. And that is where all this kind of stuff was born. And anyone who has a service-based business, read $100 million Offers by Alex Hormozy. And that is what inspired this whole process that we've got.
No way.
Obviously not the system and stuff, but the offer that we make to contractors, we had to make it so good that it would kind of be dumb to say no.
Yeah, to say no to it.
It would kind of be and then if you do say no because of the profit split or whatever, then you're a greedy contractor that we don't want to work with anyway.
Yeah, and that's my thing too, man. I mean, what you guys are able to get awarded, in my opinion, is like more than enough. Like, you know what I mean? I agree with you on that. I think that I'm looking at like that one that we had the other day. I think it was like it increased like a 10K like profit.
Yeah,
I think
that. You guys like on that one claim. I think you guys made like, what was it like? I think y'all made like 10 grand.
Yeah, it was crazy, but that's what I'm talking about. But it's because of how you guys structure everything and how you guys do everything with supplementation, and then as obviously your background. Like I think it made sense to me. I'm like, look, it makes sense that you guys are sitting in all your credentials. There's no way an insurance carrier is going to be like, oh no, this guy's not legit, or we're not going to approve this. I mean, look at all the credentials and what we're bringing in. So,
and like from a GC perspective, you guys like, let's just say you guys try to fire off like a one line item estimate for $550 a panel.
Yeah.
Insurance carriers will be like, what?
No,
I'm good.
Yeah. No.
Well, explain to me the price then.
Yeah, they start kicking it back.
Yeah, they kick it back, and like, that's what I think makes our process and system a little bit unique, is that a lot of companies and a lot of contractors will get an estimate from a detach and reset contractor at, let's just say flat rate $500 a panel.
Yeah.
And then the GC hands it off to their supplement team, and their supplement team's not educated on solar.
That's correct.
And so their supplement team, it's really hard for them to get approvals for the most time, and they don't have the right certifications, credentials to fall back on. And it's just a big time waster from like and that's what one of the big value adds that we try to put onto roofing contractors. Like, look, we will take over the supplement portion fully. We've got all of our supplementers in-house, like W-2s employees with us. They will handle the solar portion of the insurance claim. You guys focus on the roofing, and we'll take that headache off of your plate. So like when you say turnkey, we really do try to make it turnkey. Like it's like we take over the whole portion of the insurance claim when it comes to solar. We issue the warranties to the homeowner, and you guys get to look like heroes at the door. Yeah. And you guys can make a little bit of a differentiator for yourself on when jobs have solar. It's like the next guy, 90% of our market has a $100 panel guy. Yeah. So you guys have an advantage at the door.
Yeah, and I think we're able to create a lot of value, obviously, when we speak on you guys, especially with homeowners, but that's that we have that full trust, like knowing that you guys are going to come in and it's not going to be an issue. Yeah. Like we know you guys are going to take care of it. And so that having that and the guys knowing that as well at the door, especially when they're knocking the doors and they see solar panels, and if it's got damage, like they have full confidence knowing that whatever's going to happen with those panels, you guys are going to take care of it.
We're going to take care of it. Yeah, man, I really appreciate you plugging me like that.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
So I want to get into a couple of Section 7 here, John. Yeah. I'm going to ask just one of these questions because I don't want to, we're already a little bit behind on time.
No, you're all good.
Okay, I like that fourth question here. What should operators prepare for now to avoid like being disrupted in the insurance restoration market?
Yeah, man, I think, insurance is constantly changing. I think, everybody, every single year, it's like something new. And, you follow a bunch of roofing pages. So of course. It's like everybody freaks out about something every single year. I feel like, the insurance is doing this, they're going to stop paying.
In 12 months, it's going to be full retail,
it's
bro.
It's going to be all retail, right?
No, it's not.
And look, it's not going to happen. Right? I think with anything the things that do happen, you have to adapt. And I think this comes down to training.
Sure.
I will say more and more adjuster meetings are getting denied. More and more are getting pushed to like public adjuster or appraisal. Yeah. And so I think it's super important that, especially if you have a roofing company and you have guys, obviously they're out in the street, that they're really, really well trained on being able to explain the PA and the appraisal process.
That's a huge deal right
100%. Because more than likely it's, especially if it's like some of the bigger ones like State Farm or Allstate, almost every single time I feel like it ends up going that route. And so being able to walk homeowners through that process is super important, because you'll have some guys that go out and they'll say, oh yeah, this is blasted, right? It's going to get approved. And then Allstate comes out, denies it. And if you didn't really coach the homeowner through what the next steps in the process, if it gets denied, then you look bad, you lose the job, and the homeowner's 100%. Like, now they hate contractors, right?
Yeah, now it's like, now you look like you're trying to take advantage of a homeowner, right?
Oh, 100%.
And so that's funny. I was on the phone with an appraiser on the way here.
Oh, no way.
And we were just talking about the nature of the insurance business. He's like, look, like most appraisers are between that like $800 to $1,200 range flat fee.
Right.
And it's like, if you're, and then now adjusters, from what I understand, their hands are getting tied behind their back behind management. Yeah. I'm putting like simple, legitimate things that need to be in the insurance scope when it comes to like doing a full roof replacement, right? And especially in the detach and reset world, right? He was like, dude, if roofers aren't taking like most of their claims to appraisal, they're leaving money out on the table. No, I'm not saying that like And I'm sure you wouldn't agree necessarily with like, oh, like 80% of our claims need to go to appraisal, regardless if it gets, I don't think that's, I think that's more of an appraiser trying to just fluff up what his services are as an appraiser. But I do think that there are a lot of legitimate claims that need to go to appraisal because they're genuinely not awarding, and adjusters
100%.
just simply aren't able to pay what they used to be able to pay for and make their own decisions.
Yeah.
Everything has to go up to management now.
You'll have adjusters that go out there, especially third party adjusters, and if it's like, especially like, let's say it's a State Farm. I mean, they'll flat out tell you like, you look, man, like they're looking for this amount, and like I can't like turn it in. Like they'll just mark the squares, mark it 0, and then they'll just
do your contractor markings and go from there.
But that goes back to training. I mean, I always tell my guys, like we train our guys, like if they're not going to pay for the slopes, that's fine. Get them to pay for something.
Get a vent. Anything on roof.
If there's a vent, if there's one shingle that they think that has hail but nothing else, have them circle it. Because then it opens coverage on the actual roof, and then it makes it easier when we go to
appraisal process.
And so, but again, that just goes back to the training and making. Again, if the contractors, you guys aren't training your guys on any of that, like it's huge because that we've seen those shifts.
Sure.
And so those guys.
And it's not that, and at the end of the day, insurance. Insurance, homeowners are always going to have to pay an insurance policy.
Yeah.
Like the insurance restoration business is not going anywhere, but it's certainly shifting.
Yeah.
Right. I don't believe the hype in this whole thing. Like, I believe that at a certain point, mortgage companies are gonna have to start regulating the insurance industry because the mortgage industry is bigger than the insurance industry.
Right.
So in the United States, and so when you've got a mortgage company that their value is tied to the house, right, or their asset is the house, right, and so these mortgage companies, whenever we have contractors like literally going in, and because the deductible is 2%, right, and the homeowner just like flat out doesn't have it, or they don't have enough good enough credit for financing options, and the only option that we have is to remove the gutter from the scope, remove the fence from the scope, remove the garage door from the scope, remove the windows from the scope. Right. Okay, let's say, and all that the homeowner, because legally you can offset deductibles in that way, right? You can take off them. You can minimize them, right? You don't like you can't cover it.
Legally, you can't coach the homeowner to go in that direction.
Right.
Like you can't say, hey, we're going to be able to use all this for, your deductible.
Right.
I think you got to draw a fine line. It's a gray area, but if it's more along the lines of like, hey, that's your money, you can do whatever you want with it, and if you just want to get your roof done, then that's fine. Sure. They're gonna have to read between the lines on that, but legally you can't coach them.
Coach them through that, right? So, I think a lot of homeowners, even if they're not coached through it, they're looking for ways to minimize their out-of-pocket costs, right? Of course. And so, but at the end of it, let's just say someone has all this damage. Let's say like the Sanger storm, right? Yeah. And someone's deductible is $10,000, and they say, okay, hey, I just want to get my roof replaced. I know that I don't want it to leak or anything like that, but I don't have the money or the credit to finance, and so I'm gonna have to keep that other money, and that's it. Yeah. And all of a sudden, whenever that house goes up for sale, the appraisal value goes down. Yeah. All this stuff
they're gonna have to get it replaced,
and they're gonna have to get it replaced at that point. So it's like it's coming out of someone's pocket somewhere, and so that's where I think that the mortgage industry is eventually gonna have to start regulating and say, look, we can't, like, properties when they get damaged, they've got to be affordable to get restored. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And I think, and of course, the big shifts you're seeing, obviously, yes, the deductibles, like it's everything shifting to 2%. You know what I mean? So yeah, the deductibles are getting bigger. ACV policies are coming into play a lot right now too. Obviously, earlier on than it used to be. I think like
12 to 15.
Yeah, 10 to 15, something like that. And it was like it would shift to like an ACV only policy. I think it was closer to 15 for the longest time, but now it's shifted to now it's like 10. Some is like going to 8, and so it's like you're kind of, and then the average roof span in Texas anyway is 6 to 8.
6 to 8 years.
So you're still riding that fine line, and so again they're making those shifts, and it's what insurance is doing right there. 100%. They know that they're gonna have to replace this roof at some point, so they're trying to
they're trying to dwindle down the exposure that they've got. From a timeline perspective.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Man, I love that. Okay, so roofing company owners, if you're not trained well on appraisals, there are a ton of resources. I'm going to shout out Steve Patrick from Level the Playing Field.
Steve Patrick's awesome.
He's one of the one of the OGs in this space. He's been in the roofing insurance world for 30 years. He does all kinds of great classes and stuff like that you can hire him to come do. Shamelessly plugging him in there because he's my mentor in this whole deal. Got started with him selling roofs, 10 years ago. But educate your people on appraisals so that you guys aren't leaving money on the table, and that so that insurance companies aren't taking advantage of homeowners who have legitimate claims. Yeah, 100%.
Right.
100%. Okay. Man, let's jump into some rapid fire stuff, and then we'll close this thing out, bro. Yeah. Okay. So what is one book that has shaped how you operate, and why?
So this one is actually something me and Santi read, and Jazz as well, but it was Never Enough, From Barista to Billionaire. And this was actually where the holding company, where we were talking about the holding company, right?
Yeah.
I won't get into too much detail with
No,
it on the podcast.
I didn't say that. That's why I didn't say that.
I won't get into too much detail with it right now, but it kind of like shaped our entire idea of like where we're going and where we're
Like how big you can
like where we can scale and grow.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's where the idea came up. And if you haven't read it, like,
read it.
Dude, read it.
That's the one I'm about to go read it next.
It's amazing. I mean, it's obviously about a guy that, he had a company, and it talks about as he kind of like scaled and grew like his IT company, because he's from Canada, and how he went into like, owning a home company, selling and all of these things and all this money that he had. It's not just like talking, he's talking about like how his mental was throughout this entire process, like the different things that he thought, the different things that he was thinking about as it was going on. Especially at a point where he had he still has a lot of money, but where he had a lot of money, and he had like a house in Colorado, he had a house in Florida, he had a house like all over the place. And he was spending all this money. And I think at one point, I think he went on a cruise and he spent like something stupid, like $100,000 on some cruise or something. And he was just kind of like him and himself. He started to realize he was just kind of he was getting out of hand, like with all of his spending.
Just like getting way far away from reality.
Correct. And so it's cool because it talks on those things and like lessons like he kind of learned from those things.
Not letting money be the only guiding.
100%. Yeah. But then he talks about the business side of everything and with holding companies and scaling and all those things. And again, like what his thought process was through everything. So it was a really good book.
That's awesome, man. I'm reading a book right now. It's called Manifest: 7 Steps to Living Your Best Life. And one of the biggest things they talk about in there is how to eliminate fear, self-doubt, and self-limiting beliefs, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's probably that's probably pretty congruent with the thought of like, okay, hey, we're thinking about building a roofing company.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just like where we self-limited out was
Correct.
just being a roofing company.
Right.
Now we've got Exclusive Energy. Now we've got X Corp. So it's like expanding your mind and
Correct.
believing that you can accomplish anything.
Right.
If you let your mind go there.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So is that kind of a little bit of the premise of the book as well?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
100%.
definitely going to read that.
Yeah.
So what is one tool or process that Exclusive is never going to give up?
Leadership development.
Never going to go away.
It'll never go away, and it never stops.
Sure.
Developing just people in general within your organization, that should never stop.
Yeah.
I think some people think like, hey, we trained him up for a little bit, and then it's kind of like he's good. We can just let him like kind of go. But that development never should. As you scale and as you grow, things change.
Yeah.
The processes change, and as those things change, that's more growth. And so that's why that development never, even for us as owners, right?
Yeah.
As we scale and as we grow, like we're going to need, more development. That's why we got to continue to read and all these things because it just takes more development. But leadership development will never go away.
Amazing. I love that. And I think that's something that we at PV National have got to get, because like, I think it's like, when you think about leadership development, a lot of like, especially in our industry, everything kind of just goes to sales. Right. And so we've got to figure out how can we develop like real leaders in here, not from a sales perspective.
Yeah.
Right. So that's something I'm definitely going to take away from this podcast, and we're going to talk about in our next owners meeting.
Awesome.
Okay. A contrarian belief you hold about this industry. And I absolutely love what you said here because I genuinely could not agree more.
Yeah, it's easy to run a successful roofing company, but success is defined by different people differently. But
it's subjective. But,
but I think a lot of people, and the reason is because it's so easy to open a roofing company.
Yeah,
and
don't get it twisted. It's easy to open up a roofing company.
To open it, but
hey, you can get out of prison yesterday. Go start a roofing company today,
dude. It's so easy, and I think because it's so easy, that's why so many people get into the space, right?
Sure.
And they see the money in it. But to have a successful company and actually be able to grow and scale it and develop people, that's hard because that now falls on the owner, right?
Yeah.
That goes to whatever your skills are limited to as well, right? And
100%.
so, Jazz, Santi, and myself, we always believe that we don't know enough. Like we have to continue to grow, and if we don't grow and if we don't like develop ourselves, our people are never going to grow.
1,000%.
And so, I think that's one of the biggest ones for sure.
I couldn't agree more because like, you see, and I really learned that these last couple of years, like whenever we kind of really finalized our product and what our offer was going to be to the market, whenever you're prospecting all these different roofing companies and you're trying to see who's going to be a good fit for your organization, it came very clear, very quick that there were a lot of I mean, a lot of unsophisticated roofing companies that don't have systems, processes, people development, things in place. It's a total shamble of a spot.
Yeah,
and then it is a, like, from a subcontractor perspective, especially kind of like the way that we operate, which we are legitimately a lot more of a partner than a subcontractor to our roofing companies.
Yeah,
like it's a lot more than just a sub.
I for sure I believe that.
So it's like, whenever you're looking to partner with somebody, it becomes very clear who's got their shit together.
Yeah.
Like, very clear.
Dude.
Like, do they have clear accounts payable processes? Do we get paid on time?
Am I going to get paid through Apple Pay?
Yeah. Like, is that Zelle coming through?
Yeah, right.
And it's a very clear, stark difference. And so I really commend you guys, and even our dealings whenever you were at your previous company, dealing with your team and Jazz's team was always just like, it was always a pleasure, and it was always nailed out. And don't get me wrong, they had great systems and processes on back end where you were at, and
for sure.
But just coming from, like, speaking from individually from you guys, and then moving into exclusive, man, it's been a ton of fun. All of your team is just, they're super humble and hungry to learn, and if they don't know everything about our process, they're inquisitive. They want to make sure they get all the right documentation to us. And they want to make sure that their project that they're stamping their name on is a success. Yeah. And so I think that's a big testament to you guys, the leadership you guys have had. And
thank you.
It's been an incredible partnership so far. I'm looking forward to a ton more. So guys, that wraps up, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. John, thank you so much for being here, dude. Had a ton of fun. I appreciate it. I think there's if people are really listening, there's some really good golden nuggets in here to take from that. And that's what we're here to do. So that wraps it up, guys. We'll see you guys on the next one. Let's go.
Awesome. Thank you.